Good morning. Good morning. What's going on, everybody? Welcome to the Buckeye Roast, 8 a.m. early. Somehow me and Ron continue to show up, so we must like hanging out with y'all. we be struggling to get in here, but we in here, and that's the most important thing. So good morning to y'all, man. Thank you for joining us at 8 a.m. every morning. Go ahead and drop that like. Go ahead. Let us know what you're drinking in the comments. We appreciate it. Got my cup right here. The mystery
Full of
is
Ciroc City boy.
Nothing like gin to start your day. So yeah, man. Got a good show for y'all today. Obviously, Coach Key and the gang talked yesterday, so we're gonna talk about them. And also, we got our first game is actually coming up, man. It's been a few weeks, so we'll talk about that a little bit. Want to tap in with there, but again, want to tap in with you guys. Obviously, hit those comments, like I said yesterday. Trying to get more involved with y'all, trying to do more things. If you have any ideas or anything like that you want us to do, anything you want us to get better at, pick up on, or try out, just let us know. Drop it in the comments. We appreciate it. Ron, how you doing?
Pretty good. I had this diabolical plan. I woke up in the middle of the night and watched all the tight end interviews at like 4 a.m. and wrote today's show. And in that show, I decided let's preview the Indiana game and see how much disrespect Hugh has for Indiana when it comes time to actually talking football about the Hoosiers. So that's going to be fun today. As Hugh touched on, we will be getting into the first game of the season a little bit. But first, starting with coaches' interviews. Coach Key took the time to talk to the beat yesterday. Had a couple interesting things to say. One of the first things I wanted to get your comment on, he said they had 4 gold-level Iron Buckeyes in his room.
Yeah,
So
man.
everybody knows the Iron Buckeye is the award given for the weight room warriors at Ohio State during the offseason. So for Coach Key to have 4 rank out at gold, clearly he's doing something right in that room and definitely has a strong mentality in there.
Yeah, man. It's honestly no surprise with the room and how sort of veteran it is. He's got 3 guys who've been there, at least 3 years. So definitely that's a good start, especially leading your room and are your probably 3 best players right now. But also too, man, Coach Key is already a celebrity. Like we're not surprised by anything Coach Key brings to the table. I think Chris said he was like the most, most famous off the field coach maybe in the country, the last few years. So most definitely full faith with him having 4 guys. Obviously, got Cade Stover. He's your leader. He's your tough guy. Joe Royal coming back. G. Scott, who we all know is amazing off the field and what he does. And obviously really serious when he steps into the locker room, steps into the weight room, things like that. I actually wonder who the 4th was, because I know it's those 3. So
It's not those 3.
It's not those 3. Okay, because I don't know who the 4 are. Actually,
it is Cade.
Hold on. Chat, tell me who the 4 are. Let's guess for Ron, because I don't know who the 4 are. So let me know who are the 4. All right, go ahead, Ron.
I believe it is Cade.
I said Cade.
G.
I said G.
Yeah, I said G.
Okay.
Wait. Joe might have been the 3rd, and then the 4th one is the walk-on. What's his name? It wasn't Bennett Christian.
No.
The walk-on was the 4th one. So yes, those were the 3. Those 3.
Okay, I was like, well, yeah. Dang. I was like, if those aren't the 3, somebody came out and means business.
No, it was those 4. And something as Bennett Christian's name comes up, Coach Key did touch on that. Despite him being suspended for the year, he is a full participant in practice. So he's a member of the team. The only thing that he doesn't get to do is play on Saturdays. So, I mean, having that depth at least there during practice is probably helpful. So that was good to hear. And our guy G did come up in the Coach Key interviews, and he talked about how he plays violent. They were asking him about the differences between G run blocking and pass blocking. They said G excels in run blocking because he's a violent player and likes to get upfield and really attack moving forward. He's still getting used to the pass blocking thing. So does that surprise you, having Coach Key say that about G, especially him converting from a wide receiver, not typically known to be a tougher position?
For G Scott himself, not particularly. He was already a bigger, more physical guy who you felt when he was going to come to Ohio State and play wide receiver was going to be somebody who was physical at the line and getting off the line and sort of bodying corners and linebackers and safeties down the field. So him coming in with a violent nature and run blocking, which is going to be easier to pick up than pass blocking. doesn't really surprise me, man. And obviously, how talented this guy is. Unfortunately, we haven't seen much of him yet in the offense because we have so many weapons, and he became a hybrid guy. But that really doesn't surprise me at all. And I am very optimistic about what I'm going to see from G Scott this season. I think all three of these guys are going to play, and I'm super excited to see him ready to go because you like to see those guys with like really good off the field stories, like really good people who haven't quite done it on the field yet, really show up and get their time in the sun. So I'm really hoping big things for G Scott this season.
Same. You touched on it earlier in the show. Coach Key, a little bit of celebrity off the field as a recruiter, and he's not even really able to travel. So I mean, with him stepping into a role as a full-time assistant and able to hit the road, what are your expectations? That's the title of the graphic. Do we have the next great recruiter at Ohio State joining the staff now at tight ends coach? We hear Carnell Tate and Brandon Innes mention how influential Coach Key was in their recruitment. We hear about all of the connections that he has in South Florida. Is this the next big name in college football recruiting on the Buckeye staff?
I think so. I'm actually very interested to see the style, and we're starting to see that change a little bit. The style of tight ends with Demarius Whitten and guys like that. I think Coach Key is just gonna go out there and just go get some freak shows. Just go get some guys who are super athletic, maybe not even really tight ends, but just big receivers who have the speed, have the body size, and he can teach the block and other technical things like that. And I think just his connection with players and things like that, because he's a younger guy. He's from South Florida, obviously. He had the connection with all the SFE guys. That's his area, things like that. I think he is the next star on the staff. And I think, worst case scenario, if Brian Hartline did ever leave, I think he would be the guy to step into that wide receiver room. And I don't know if we'd ever miss a beat. So hopefully everything stays still right now because we really love the offensive staff. And Coach Key can go out and really transform this tight end room. And he's got his work cut out for him because you think tight ends in his offense is sort of the the bottom man here. You got these wide receivers walking in, top in the nation. You got these running backs coming in. Tony Alford always gets good ones every other year probably. So at that pace, it's like, how are my tight ends ever supposed to get passes? How are they supposed to get targets? How are they supposed to get featured? And you got guys like Ruck coming in and coming out and like really never got featured. So this guy's work cut out for him. But like you said, you go and you grab a Demarius Whitten or, guys like that, Jelani Thurman, some freak shows like that. It's like, no, 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 no. Oh, we're putting these as the first few guys who deserve the ball. And we're gonna go from there. So I'm very excited. I think he is the next star, and it's exciting to see which route he goes. Hopefully, we can keep everything together for a couple of years, but definitely when pieces start to move on this staff as they always do, I expect Coach Key to rise.
Do you think we'll start seeing more receiving style tight ends at Ohio State instead of inline guys? Do you think there's going to be more of an emphasis? He's said in previous interviews that he puts the receiver before blocking, so he considers tight ends receivers that block. So do you think that there's going to be an emphasis on having more athletic, more dynamic tight ends in this offense? And what do you think if he does go that route that can open up for this offense?
Yeah, I do expect that. I'm hoping we have that UGA tight end room. What are these things? I want two guys who are just crazy matches, and I think we're getting there. I mean, if you think, down the line, you got a Jelani Thurman and Demarius Whitten, you go line those two guys out. Let's say they become what we think they are. It's like, the hell are we supposed to do? Like, you got Jeremiah Smith on the outside, Mylan Graham over there. I got these two guys coming down the line. So I think the receiving tight end is more the way he wants to go because that's his style. Kevin Wilson was more of a blocking O-line guy, so his guys are definitely going to block. But like I said, I think, getting guys who can go out, run routes, be matchup nightmares is a thing you can't really recruit. Guys coming in and blocking and doing their job is something you can teach. So,
So
yes,
yeah, one of the first while we're talking about receiving style tight ends, I feel like the first interview we should jump into is the G Scott interview. He really talked about how important his faith was in staying grounded during this off season and just his development in the tight end room. He just graduated this past season and says this is the best his mind and body has felt since getting to Ohio State. So I just wanted to get your expectations for G because he seems to be really locked in mentally, spiritually, physically, and ready for this season after hearing his interview yesterday.
Well, first things first, now I feel old because I remember us going to recruit this guy in Washington, and he'll tell me he's graduated. Like, wasn't that just like yesterday, man?
Well, he did graduate in 3 years, so shout out to him. He did that
Yeah,
really
good
fast. So
lord. Gee,
yeah.
slow down, man. You're making me feel old. Come on. But no, man. Man, G Scott, if y'all haven't checked out his YouTube, and I'm sure most of you have, like, and just watches the stuff he does off the field, watches his mindset. I watched an interview that he did with do you know the guy that does the one he does with real estate in Columbus? He did an interview. I forget the guy's name,
I
but
don't know his name, but I know which
yeah,
interview you're talking
yeah, it
about.
was, bro. I watched that like 3 times. It's just awesome, man. I'm over here writing down notes. Like, how's he doing this with his real estate? I'm trying to, you know what I'm saying? So, just the mindset that G Scott has over everything else. He just seems. I never met him. He just seems like an amazing person. He seems like he's about his business and things like that. So, stepping on the football field, we know he's talented. We know he's gifted. He deserves to play at Ohio State. I just think he's ready to go, man. I think it's time that we give this dude a chance. We look forward to the last 2 seasons. I think his mind's right. I think Coach Key is going to really help him develop as a wide receiver because I think that part too is what holds him back a little bit is the fact that he transferred over to the room and he got in with Kevin Wilson, who's not a routes guy, not really a wide receiver guy of creating separation, things like that he struggled with. I think Coach Key is going to turn that on and get him back to his roots of being a wide receiver first and then working on the other stuff second. So I think it's time for G Scott, man. I'm just excited for him. Like I was saying earlier, I think his talent is gonna definitely help in matchups, and hopefully we feature him. The only unfortunate part is he's got 2 other guys who, one guy who's done it for a year, and the other guy who we all are hyped to see. So that probably is the only thing standing his way. But I expect G Scott to get his just due.
So the next guy I want to get to in that room, and now that I'm thinking about it, I was going to compliment on Joe Royer having the best hair on the team, but G. Scott might have an argument to that. They might have the tight ends might have the best hair on the Ohio State roster. Joe Royer, with his patented fro, talked to the media yesterday. Says he's fully healthy and has talked about his body transformation. He said he was 243 when he came into that Georgia game, and right now he's at 255. He said he can really feel a difference in his lower body when it comes time to move people out there on the field. How much do you think that step means for Joe this offseason?
No, man. We talked about it on Buckeye BS. I'm pretty sure with Joe Royer and the things he went through last season. I mean, that's a big time step. Get anybody right. I mean, hopefully, I always fear a little bit of the coach Mick project of dudes walking out like robots. But if he feels good, I'm rolling with it. 255. So it seems like he's got his mindset right. He's been in the weight room. The world is the oyster, and if I had another lie, I would tell you Joe Royer is going to break that tight end catch record because this dude is a problem when he gets in matchups. He's a probably seen in the Georgia game. He was already getting open. And I'm talking about he damn near walked out of the YMCA right into the Georgia game. We hadn't seen the dude all season. He didn't play much. He was hurt, things like that. And then you see like, oh shoot, our tight ends over here creating separation, catch a pass over the middle. I ain't seen that, all game. So yeah, man, I expect big things from Joe Royer.
Yeah, he talked about Cade Stover being the hardest working guy on the team and what that means to have him in the room and that type of mentorship. And then he also talked about how difficult last season was. Said it was the hardest year of his life. We know he lost his mom early in the season. He contracted mono, so he just had a really difficult year. He credits the support staff for helping him get through it. He said he really wasn't in it mentally, but they helped him lock back in and really get through those tough times. So it's great to hear that the university is taking care of these young men while they're going through difficulties in their life, and it's not just football. He had the ability to take time off and spend time with his family during those times. So I thought that was in an awful moment and something that you don't want anyone to have to go through.
Yeah,
But for him to have that support and feel comfortable and be able to go home, return to the team, and then still contribute in a game like Georgia. So credit to Joe, not just for his mental toughness and his ability to, still participate in last season, given all of the challenges that he faced, and also the support staff having him prepared and healthy mentally and physically to be able to participate.
No, yeah, 100%. And I saw Wayne ask in the chat. He was talking about, is there any indication of the rotation coming down? You did see the interview, so I want to ask: did you have any kind of feel of like who was really going to get the burn? Is it as we think, or do you feel like it's going to be some changes we don't expect?
I feel like Cade is still tight end one. I feel like that's the first person we're going to see out there on the field. He's a captain for a reason. It seems like G and Joe are both 2A, 2B in that rotation.
Mhm.
They seem to be very comfortable with all three of those guys. I believe Ryan Day said it in an interview the other day that they feel like there's a guy, they all do a couple things really well, so they feel like they have the pieces to do what they're looking to do, like and specialize in different things. So I feel like they'll be able to mismatch those pieces together and come up with a good rotation between the three of them, because they're all so talented and all bring unique skill sets to that position.
Yeah, no, it's crazy. I mean, the different skill sets, and as you marked down, Joe Roy played X in high school, which is actually insane, given how big he is. He's like, yeah, go out there. I just hate to be that corner from some small school on Friday night. Like, yeah, who's this dude? Man.
Yeah, he said he played X in high school and said that made him comfortable blocking on the perimeter, so he feels like he can really get out there. It's now focusing on the inline blocking and getting more comfortable there. He talked about his welcome to college moment. I mean, we mentioned earlier about the physical development from 243 to 255. It said when he first got on campus, he tried to block Zach Harrison and just felt himself moving back 10 yards. So clearly, there's been a physical adjustment since getting to Ohio State.
Zach Harris is doing that to people in the NFL, so there's no, this is not the worst thing to happen to you.
Right. So the last interview we had is our guy, Farmer Gronk, Cade Stover, catches a lot of strays on this program here, but we're going to keep it civil through these notes here. Said the defense knows everything that they're doing at this point, so it's really a challenge for the offense to move the ball since they've been going up against each other all through spring, all through the fall. They asked him if he would be interested in being a Block O candidate, which I thought was funny because he seemed hesitant, because he was like, I really like 8. I mean, if they would give it to me, I'll take the honor, but he didn't seem particularly interested in wearing the Block O. I just wanted to get your thoughts on that.
Uh, that's too funny. Cage just seems, man, he's just the lunch pail guy. He's so chill. He doesn't want the limelight. I don't even know if he necessarily wants to be interviewing. No, a
No, he
lot of
just wants to ride his tractor. If they could interview him on his tractor, I think he would do it from there.
Nah, I think he likes to just roll in silence and show up and take care of his business. And all the slander Cade Stover's got, it's not for me. So Cade, see me in Columbus, man. You know, wasn't me, bro. Wasn't me. But but yeah, man. No. Obviously, Cade coming back. You got that leadership. Obviously, we all want to see the next two guys in the room. But Cade is going to come in. He's going to handle business. We know he's going to be tough. We know the team needs toughness. If anybody does, this team needs toughness. So glad to have him back for sure. Expect him to sort of take care of those things that Mitch Rossi left. Mitch Rossi come in, knock somebody's head, block, really be tough. That's how I expect Cade to lead this room. Obviously, he's not the most gifted receiver, but he did really well last season, and honestly kind of impressed us on like how much he was really getting open early in
Speak
the
for
season.
yourself.
Now, when it came later in the season, it was like, oh, okay, like okay, that's Cade Stover. But early in the season, that's where Farmer Grok came in. We were like, what kind of ball skills does he have? Like, so there is talent there, man. And as much as we want to see Joe Royer and G Scott, I mean, Cade has shown flashes. So can he be consistent with that is the question. Can he stay healthy? Because I feel like that plays a part in. I don't need to see him at week 8 looking like RoboCop. If he's got 2 robotic arm, what do you have? The armband, knee band. Like he came in the
Bro,
first
he looked like a bionic football player. Chris Drew
year.
said, "Insert slander here from me." So Chris Drew is gonna take it for us and go ahead and slander Cade. I mean, let us know in the chat. What do you think the rotation should be for the tight ends 1, 2, and 3? Do you think Joe should be starting? G? You think Cade deserves to come back and be the starter? Is that leadership so valuable that he can't be taken off the field? What are your thoughts, Q? What should the rotation be?
Well, before I get into that, bro, just stay healthy. Cade Stover, when walked into last season, looked like Barry Bonds before steroids. By the end of the season, he looked like Barry Bonds after steroids with all them wristbands and all that shit on. So stay healthy, first of all. If I was doing the rotation, usually how I do it, I would probably go Joe Royer one. That's going to be my matchup guy. He's the one I'm going to be the prioritize in the pass game. When I need to block, when I need to really go 12 personnel and get somebody to go head on head, that's going to be Cade Stover. And then G Scott I'm just going to get creative with him. I'm going to find different ways to match him up. I may at times bring him in as a running back, have him block, have him come out and get guarded by linebackers, things like that. So that's probably what I would go. Joe Royer 1, Cade Stover 2, G Scott 3. And that's a three-headed monster. And really use those guys. Don't just say, oh, we got 3-man, these are 3-man's lineup, and don't use them. I feel like there's a place for all of them. So that's the way I would go.
I feel like G has to be a matchup nightmare out there for them trying to cover with the talent that we have at wide receiver. And then you have a top 100 wide receiver. You know what I mean? I think G was ranked relatively close to what Marv was when he was coming out as a wide receiver. So to think about the potential that people saw in him as a pass catcher and be able to convert that skill set to tight end, I feel like that could be a matchup nightmare if he's able to really prove his ability to block in the run game and in the pass game. Because again, you don't want these tight ends to be so limited and specific to what they're doing that it's tipping their hand of when who's coming in the game. So they have to be able to do everything. So if he's able to do that, I feel like it's an element that'll be unlocked in this offense.
Yeah, and I feel like just like with our slot position, with the tight end room we have now, that could damn near be another matchup nightmare. Just like whoever steps in the slot with us, because we feature it so much, is that you got Marv on the outside, you got a Mech on the outside. Those guys are going to demand so much attention. And we don't play with 4 wide receivers. You just play with 3 in a tight end. So that's where you fill in a G Scott at tight end or Joe Royer. Those guys are going to be matchup nightmares for the 4th best cover guy in the secondary. I feel like we really need to try to feature those guys, open it up, because the outside wide receiver is just going to get so much attention that it's there for the taking.
I hear that. So yesterday, my buddy stopped over, and he's a Penn State fan, and had an interesting comment, and I just had to write it into the show because I was in disbelief. Honestly, I have two friends that are big Big Ten football fans. One's a Rutgers fan, one's a Penn State fan, and some of the shit I hear from them is unbelievable. I wish I had a podcast longer so I could talk about some of the things that I've heard. My buddy that's a Rutgers fan, I almost had to kick him out of my house last time he stopped over because he had the nerve in my home, in my 4 walls, to fix his lips and say, I think J.J. McCarthy is going to win the Heisman.
Oh, dear Jesus.
That's what I'm saying. Like, bugs are flying in because I had the door open. I'm just like, get the fuck out. Like, we're not doing this. I'm not even entertaining this conversation.
See you next week.
Setting the stage for the type of shit and conversations that we hear. So yesterday, we're discussing the Ohio State quarterback battle, and I mentioned people were starting to believe that Devin Brown is the starter. And his face lit up. He was like, I heard Kyle McCord was the guy. This is this great 5-star generational quarterback, and he can't beat out Devin Brown. I think Devin Brown's overhyped, and I think Penn State's going to beat you guys. So much so, not that I'm confident that Penn State's going to beat you guys. I think that Indiana is a trap game for the Buckeyes. So when I heard Indiana, a trap game for the Buckeyes, Indiana, a team that has a Vegas over-under win-loss of 3.5, I had to ask my man, Hoosier Q, how he felt about this, because this guy never wants to disrespect Indiana. And when I look at 3.5 win-loss over-under, I'm thinking this team is garbage and the Buckeyes should steamroll them. But I got my buddy that's a Penn State fan telling me this is a trap game. I got you telling me no disrespect to Indiana. So I just want to get your thoughts. Coming into this game, we've seen Ohio State struggle with Indiana before. We have not lost to them in 21 years. It was 1988 the last time the Hoosiers beat us in football. No disrespect, Q. Is this a trap game for the Buckeyes?
Okay, so these two things are not the same.
What?
The reason I say no disrespect to Indiana, and if you were here, is I was
Hoosier.
I was constantly using Indiana as the doormat of, yeah, we'll probably beat them by 50, yada, yada, yada. So no disrespect because they're the prime example I use all the time. But since your friend brought it up, we will continue the respect of Indiana. And we will say this: they were not a good team last year. Not at all. They probably lost their most talented player in Deshaun McCullum, who I wish came back to Ohio State, but he didn't. No one in their right mind fears Indiana right now. So, as far as trap game goes, it is possible for us to come out flat. It is possible for us to have a lot of new working parts that need to be figured out. And early in the game, things look a little. We don't look like Ohio State quite when we step on the field, But their talent is so low, and they really don't have anybody out there that
That
is
sounds
still.
like disrespect to me.
I
You
mean,
want to run that back?
it kind of is what it is. It's not gonna be. It's not gonna be pretty. Like, is it a little? It was a trap game. They had some better players, probably, but it's not gonna be pretty, regardless of how slow we start or how much they don't take this game seriously.
So that makes me question, even if the offense does come out with a slow start, we could potentially be starting a first-time starter if it's Devin Brown, who's never thrown a pass in college football, or we could be starting Kyle McCord with one start under his belt. We have questions on the offensive line. We have new pieces on the defense. Could we start off slow? And if we do start off slow, how confident are you in our defense to be able to protect the end zone and keep them off the scoreboard until the offense figures it out?
I mean, shit, if they can't do it against Indiana, I'm very worried if they can't keep them off the scoreboard. But I mean, I think it'll be fine. Also, too, with our offense, when I say start slow, obviously Marv's still standing out there. Travion Henderson is still in the backfield. That doesn't necessarily mean we won't score. When I say start slow, it's like y'all know that flow we get in the offense where it's like our 8-yard pass, 8-yard run, 10-yard pass, 10-yard run, like that sort of flow. I don't expect us to quite be there so early to where it's like, okay, it's smooth. I feel like, okay, there may be a miscommunication on one play or somebody missed a block on the other. I still expect us to score probably every other drive, at least opening up the game. So I think that is, but if I would say, let's say the offense really starts slow, can't score early, man, this defense, Jim Knowles, this defense better be fucking flying around, playing ball, not giving up catches, big hits, all of
Over
that.
under 4 defensive touchdowns this year for the Buckeyes.
Mm. See, that's a
Put
good
it at
question.
4.5.
That's a good question. I would probably put it. Chances probably are like right at 4. I feel like there would be, especially early on, like be a couple pick sixes or something like that. In a big game, we always get one.
Like in
I
the
will
big
go the
game, like
over.
Arkansas State during the home and
Yeah,
home.
our home and home. So I will go over. I will go over 4. Very optimistic, and obviously we should be playing at like 15 games this season. Go win a natty or something like that. So I'll put it over. I think this defense, man, is gonna be lights out. I think it will be. I think, man, I was getting hate on the in my DMs just a couple days ago about what are y'all gonna do on defense, and I'm like, bro, we had 3, no, not 3, we had 5 undrafted players walk out. Like, we're gonna be a lot better than we were. So I expect big things from this defense. I expect us to hold it, and I expect this joint to be like 50-7, something like that. I don't expect. I expect it to get crazy.
Um, so the last question I have for you, it was our poll this morning for the chat, and let's check the results. Does Ohio State cover against Indiana? The line is plus 28.5. Sheesh.
Yeah.
The poll says 75% say we cover. So I just want to get your thoughts. So you're confident in the defense. You think there is a possibility that we come out flat. Are we still able to cover 28.5?
Yeah, I think we cover regardless. I mean, I thought we came out. I mean, I don't know. Ohio State does that weird thing where we'll score like 14 or something in the first half and always end the game with like 55 points. Like they did everything, where even if they start slow, they still manage to throw 60 on the board. So I do expect us to cover 28. I just mostly because I don't expect us to give up a lot of points. I don't expect us to give more than like 14 if possible. And I think we're gonna score like 50. So I expect us to cover. I don't even
Sheesh.
know that.
I mean, these sound like Kasai.
20, 30,
These sound
yeah,
like
yeah,
Kasai predictions.
I mean, against Indiana, if it was like Notre Dame, like I would be like, oh no, this might be like a 7-14 point game, especially starting slow and don't know what the offense is going to bring. But I would say against Indiana, it should not really be a struggle early in the season.
I hear that, but 28.5, that's a
I mean, that is a
right
great man. They
that
always
is a line.
I mean, we've seen it before, and they've crushed it. They will do it, and it's mostly because I don't expect anyone to be scoring points. I can't name one player on their offense. I really cannot.
Well, you did mention that you think we're going to put a 50 burger up on them. We got a 50 burger going right now in this chat. There's 50 of you guys in here. We appreciate you guys pulling up this morning to talk some Buckeye football here in the middle of camp. I know everyone is getting antsy. We have, 16 days until we start playing football. I'm getting so desperate. I started looking at the week 0 games the other day. I'm like, all right, who do I get to watch? Because I'm just itching to watch some college football. So we appreciate everyone in here. Make sure you smash that like button. Q, let the people know where they could find you at.
Hold on, Ron, before we get that, I've been checking the chat. Let me get some of their in here, and then I'll go ahead and get us out of here. Sketching Young, we were talking tight ends. Doreen says Case guy. Let me see. We have here. I've seen a lot of Cade. I've seen a little G love in there. GOJ says Cade first, Scott second, Joe Royer third for the lineup. Tyler says Cade up first, Joe second, and G third. So that's your rotation right there. We will see how it flexes out. And then I'm seeing a lot of Indiana disrespect in here. I need y'all to calm it down on that. I will mute the chat. But yeah, so. That's what I'm seeing for the most part. Yeah, so just want to check in with you guys. Obviously, Cam says Jelani, so let's not forget him in that tight end room. But yeah, so then we'll check in on that. But yeah, man, if you want to find me, not hard to find. I'm City Boy Quentin on Twitter, Flying Jobs on Instagram, Minor League Films here on YouTube and on TikTok. So do that over there. That's the place you can find me. Ron, where they can find you at.
I mean, you can find Q in these streets too. Don't forget that. But before we get out of here, I did want to mention we want to do a mailbag episode tomorrow. So shoot us some questions on Twitter. If you aren't already, find us on your favorite podcast platform. Make sure you subscribe. Leave us a 5-star review and drop a question in there, and we will be sure to bring it up on the show. That would help us a lot. I know that we do this show every morning here on YouTube, but the audio is also available. Same for the Buckeye BS if you miss us on Sundays. So if you can't see us on video, make sure that you're tapped in on your favorite podcasting platform. If you want to find me, you could find me at 2_TEES on Twitter. That's 2 T's. You could find me on Twitch at the same thing, on TikTok at 2Shicey. We are here every morning for the Buckeye Roast. We appreciate you guys pulling up, and we will see you on tomorrow, I guess. Yeah, I was going to say Sunday. I'm off tomorrow, so your boy is ready for the weekend. I'm off from my job that pays me way more than this, but I still will be here tomorrow to talk Buckeye football at 8 a.m. What was you going to say, Q?
No, so I got some interesting questions for y'all tomorrow, so come prepared. Have your minds ready because we're gonna take down go down a little memory lane and have some fun. So can't wait to catch y'all tomorrow. Should be a very fun show.
Sounds good. Everyone have a good day, and I appreciate you guys for pulling up. See y'all tomorrow.
One more time.